Thanks for joining us at Ride On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers Revell's 1977 Pontiac Firebird, featured in the Smokey and the Bandit series movie. It's a 125 scale kit. Number 85-4027, and this vintage kit is still available on the open market. It's a skill level 2, which includes 89 parts molded in white plastic with black vinyl tires, clear plastic windows, and light covers, and a great looking decal sheet. In this kit you'll find a correctly rendered version of the Blackbird Firebird decal on the hood. Here are the contents of the kit, and as you can see, the tires are bagged separately to keep them from encroaching on any of the plastic, and the decals are in beautiful shape, and they very colorful, and the registry is good, but you'll also notice there's some thin spindly lines there that you'll have to apply. So I strongly suggest that you get some of the setting solutions available on the aftermarket to help place and make these conform to the contours. We'll be using Model Masters liquid cement, sometimes super glue for strength, and white or clear glue for the windows and glass applications. I'll deviate from the instructions and start working on the body. I find it's easier to get the kit into paint for the body and then let that dry before I move on to the subcomponents. So the first thing to do is, even though they're very slight, you'll want to take some fine sandpaper and remove any of the molding lines that you find. You'll see them here designated by the red arrows, but they're basically in the normal places on the front and rear fender clips. To prepare for body paint, I removed the left and right side view mirrors from the sprue and inverted them and glued them back to the sprue so that I could paint them without having to retouch them. And then the attachment points there are simply the parts that will be glued to the body. So locate the side vents from the kit. Those are those two stirrup looking items, and then detach them from the sprue and clean them up nicely and so they have a good contoured shape, and then glue those into the proper locations on the body. They are body color, so we're going to put those in place before we paint. We'll do something similar with the door handles, although these pieces are chromed, so you're going to want to sand or scrape the chrome off of them, and you can also put them in some household bleach to remove the chrome from most of it, and then glue them into place on the body as they are also body color. Once those pieces are in place, go ahead and spray the body inside and out and the hood and related body colored pieces with some flat black primer, and follow that up with a gloss black paint. A light mist at first, and then successively heavier until you get a nice glossy coat. Now we can turn our attention to building the engine, and this is a nice rendition of the Pontiac 400 cubic inch V8. It's very well detailed, and the engine and transmission, of course, made up of two halves, and is designed to hide the seams so that they're not so apparent. But you'll still have some, so you may want to finish those up if you're doing a contest model with some putty, and sand them smooth where the edges meet. Now the oil pan, the starter assembly, it covers the bottom seam along with a separate transmission fluid pan there, so it's not too bad. The top seam is covered with the intake and head assembly. So there's two belt assemblies, and go ahead and assemble the block halves, heads, etc., and then paint the accessory parts the appropriate colors you see here. Black for the starter, silver on the fuel pump and fan belt assembly. The alternator is a steel color. Now attach the AC pump and the belt assemblies and power steering pump to the engine block with the fan spindle as mounting tab there, and it's pretty solid design. So the valve covers, exhaust manifolds, and the HEI distributor are all separate pieces that can be added now. I had used some Krylon Pacific Blue for the engine paint there. just for your information. It's pretty close to the Pontiac Blue. And then after that's all assembled, as you can see, that was attached to the frame, and there's some very positive mounting points there. But remember to scrape off any paint or chrome plating whenever you glue parts together for a good bond. So we can work on the interior, and if you'll notice here, there's some great detail on the dash, even on the side panels here. And most of this, of course, is kind of a semi-gloss of satin black, and you go ahead and spray paint those and assemble the interior along with the seats. And as you can see, there's separate front seats, front wheel wells, a separate firewall, a CB radio, and a dashboard with gauge decals, and a separate gauge bezel. So we're going to get some pretty nice looking interior features on this kit. Some more of that detailing can be seen here. The side armrests have ashtrays, small ashtrays in them, along with seat belt detailing and the pleated panels that can be detailed for extra authenticity. To finish the interior, I painted the platform tub of the interior with some satin black, and then I taped off the back seat and the center console and flocked the floor with some of that craft flocking that you can get from a craft store or online. And the front seats were painted satin black and glued into place, and the front wheel wells and firewall were painted flat black as well, and detailed with some different colors for the wiring, etc., of just any of the bottle paints you have on hand. So there's some more chromed pieces here that I felt needed to be dechromed, so I put those in the bleach bath and then painted them with some metallizer paints to give them a more authentic look. I also included the gauge bezel in the bleach bath, and after dechroming that, I painted it with some of the gold tint color in order to replicate the Blackbird motif. So also there's some small studs on the back side of this that need to be sanded down so there's no fit issue against the dashboard. So the dashboard was painted satin black to match the interior, and then detailed with some silver paint. And the steering wheel, it gets gold spokes and a Firebird decal for the center of it. So install the the gauge decals behind there, and then go ahead and apply the bezel for the instrument cluster and install the steering column into place. So install the dashboard into the slots provided on the sidewalls there, and once it's done, this thing looks really terrific, including the ashtrays and seat belts from a bygone era. The only thing was that the CB radio didn't have a microphone, so a couple of small bits of wire and some spare plastic, and you'd be able to fix that up too. Now we can work on the chassis, and it's a one-piece unit, but you can detail it. First, you could remove the script, the copyright script that you see there with the red arrows indicating that location, and then spray the unit flat black, and you can detail some of the structural cross members, etc., with some semi-gloss paint in order to give it a little definition. And there's some wiring and things that could be highlighted with a silver pen as well. So now we can grab those snowflake wheels out of the kit, and they are the correct units for this model, for the TA model. So I used some gold paint to detail the interior of them, and then I used a black marking pen around the outsides of the spokes and the outer rim of the tire because there's no bead. So instead of looking at a piece of chrome on that edge, we're going to blacken that out so that they look more correct. Now the exhaust tips can be applied, and just scrape the plating off from the inner leaved tabs there and paint, and so you get a good bond, but glue that together and put those into place. I painted the front suspension, which is one piece and very strong because of that, a satin black color to contrast with the flat black chassis. And then the front wheels, of course, were mounted to the suspension with some metal pins that can only be set in the stock position. So putting it in the lowered position there will cause interference with the Trans Am kit, so don't do that. So install the shocks in the rear end there and get those ready to be received on the rest of the suspension piece. And that was painted a flat black. So then install that into place. Just scrape off any paint and make sure you get a good glue joint there. So assemble those tires and wheels and press those into place on the axle spindles in the front and rear. And then we can install the exhaust. Those pipes are painted steel colored, and of course the aluminum muffler, and you can add a gold tint to the catalytic converter. Assemble that 4-piece unit. They're all positive locating points, so you can put that into place now too. So with the chassis finished now, we can mount the interior tub and then any of the remaining pieces that go onto the chassis, and get that ready for final assembly. So now it's time to get the window glass out of the kit, and it's designed so that you don't need glue to attach it to the body. The headliner there is the attachment point, and what we need to do first though is tape off the glass portion and then paint that headliner flat black. And the rear view mirror is also attached and in a fitted slot there with the red arrow. You can see it so that no glue gets on the windshield, which has been bane for modelers for a long time. So with the window glass installed, now we can grab the rear tail light panel, and the instructions call it out to be red, but it's actually clear. So I painted the back of it of the panel with some Krylon red, and then detailed the backup lights with some white acrylic paint on the front side, and painted the raised ribs with a black marker. The front marker lights are indicated here with the red arrows on the instructions, but they're not part of the grille, so you'll just have to use your imagination for those pieces. Otherwise, use some gold tinted paint to trim the grille nacelles out with, and then install the headlights there with some clear glue, and then place that into position in the front fascia. Now you can go ahead and glue the front fascia onto the vehicle's front end there, and we're ready to start adding decals to the kit. First we have to add the body to the lower portion of the chassis. So spread the sides out and start at the rear, and then drop that on very carefully, wiggle it into position. It should actually stay there without any glue, but look for some contact points if you think you'd like to secure that into place, and then go ahead and install the body. And then the decals, just like any other model except for some of those thin stripes, go together very well into place at this time, but you will benefit from the use of a lot of warm water and carefully placing those into position with some of the decal setting solution I mentioned. That'll really help, especially with that big black bird decal on the hood. After the decals have dried, that's when I like to place the mirrors into position. Because they're so fragile, you want to handle the model as little as possible to avoid knocking those off. So if you haven't done so already, go ahead and put the mirrors into place. Well, there you have it. If you're looking to go eastbound and down, this kit will take you on a trip down memory lane. And by and large, everything fit very well. There's very little in the way of inconsistencies. The decals are excellent, but they take some patience. Once again, the detailing for the interior and the separate parts, the engine bay panels, that made it easy to work with. So this is a great base for a contest model, and with that black finish and the gold decals on it, she looks great. And if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. Well, we hope you liked this step-by-step premium model kit review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But you can find us on Facebook and also at our website, rideonreplicas.com. Thanks!
This review is brought to you in part by Riders Hobby Shops, where the fun begins. Stop in to one of Riders' 2 convenient Michigan locations, where you'll find a full range of the latest hobby products, supplies, parts, tools, and paint. You'll find aisles and aisles of scale model kits, RC models, model rockets, Warhammer gaming, and railroading products. Stop in at Riders today and tell them Doug sent you.